Good day. So we are the Group 12 and our topic is all about what drives stratification in society. So we live in a world with diverse groups with different classification, belief, and ways of life. Our perception, perspective, and viewpoints are heavily influenced by our shared experience with this group. Studying stratification focuses on how this classification become dominant and their impact on social dynamics and interaction. So, social stratification is therefore a system dividing people and groups into different levels according to hierarchy of property, power, and identity. So, ang social stratification mo na siya ang system na gi-categorize ang people into different levels based sa ilang wealth, income, education, family background, and power. So, in reality, ang stratification is present and being implemented in different societies. So, there are two major systems of stratification, the case system and class system. First is case system. A society under a case system determines the status of an individual upon birth. Practiced mostly in agricultural societies, the status of individual is lifelong. This is because the lifestyle in the context of agricultural societies requires hard work along with daily routines, which means people are expected to dedicate their life fulfilling their roles and duties. So, ang kanilang case system is the individual social status is determined at birth and remains fixed for life, with strict rules, again, marrying someone from another case, making social mobility nearly impossible. So, first is country case 1, India. India case system is one of the notable examples of this type of social practice for more than 2,000 years. This particular case system is based on the religion, the Hinduism, rather than ethnicity or stratification race. So, ang kanila na system is na siya 4 major cases. Mo ni siya, morning case and mo nila role of stratification. Ang kaning harihan or dalit is mo na siya ang lowest social class. Sa ang ila skoan, they perform job considered ritually polluting like handling dead animals and funerals, and they often face severe discrimination. Despite India case system abolishment in 1949, traditional practice still influence ceremonies leading to conflict. Next is the class system. The class system, on the other hand, provides the status of an individual based on several categories. It may be based on materials, possession, prestige, and achievement or merit. While an individual of status is initially determined at birth, the class system is more open to opportunities and action, which may allow the individual to gain social mobility and achieve a higher status compared to those under the caste system. So, the class system is present in modern economies that provides more roles in and occupation beyond farming. This gives people the freedom of choice in work, which translate occupation into greater individuality in their personal choices, such as what to pursue and whom to marry. So, ang class system is individual status is influenced by factors like wealth and achievements. Unlike sa case system, ang class system is nag-allow siya sa social mobility, meaning people can improve their status through their action and accomplishment. So, what determine class system? So, there are two social thinkers, Karl Marx and Max Weber, that contributed theories on how an individual status is determined under a class system. Next is means of production. So, ang means of production, mo na siya ang land, factories, tools, and capital which are utilized for wealth accumulation. Karl Marx lived in an era of industrial boom where countries are maximized production and factories, which became one of the main sources of employment, and with it brought a new set of social problems. Marx explained the social inequality and stratification experienced by the people had to do with the means of production. So, si Karl Marx is nag-argue na ang social inequality and stratification were caused by the control of the means of production by the capitalists, which leads to the exploitation of the working class. Next is property, prestige, and power. Max Weber tends to not fully agree with Marx. While property is important, it is not the sole factor in determining class. Weber coins the three P's of social class: property, power, and prestige. Like Marx, Weber also states that property is a key in an individual's standing in society. However, Weber adds that it is only about owning property that can lead to wealth and higher standing. In businesses and factories, for example, executive and manager who most likely do not own yet control the property or equipment can use it to their own advantage and goals to accumulate wealth. Therefore, it is not only about ownership, but also control of property, which determine class. So, Konya is say Max Weber believed that social class is determined by property, power, and prestige, emphasizing that control over resources, such as by manager, can influence class status just as much as ownership.
Counter case number 2, United Kingdom. The United Kingdom historically combined caste and class systems. During the Middle Age, society was divided into three states: the clergy, ranging from humble priests to wealthy landowners; the nobility, who were largely exempt from labor and followed primogenitures to inherit land; and commoners, who were mostly illiterate and lacked opportunities for social mobility. During the Industrial Revolution, commoners gained employment and wealth, challenging the nobility's exclusive privilege. Increased wealth led to greater access to education and opportunities to social mobility. So, ang United Kingdom na historically combined caste and class systems. Ang Middle Age na dahil tulo ang society divided into clergy, nobility, and commoners. Sa Industrial Revolution, ang commoners gained wealth and education, challenging nobility's privilege and increasing social mobility. So, case number 3, Ifugao Society in the Philippines. The Ifugao in the Philippines is an agricultural-based society. This makes the nature of their class system largely determined by the ownership of rice lands and the scale of their capability to produce rice. There are three general classes that comprise the Ifugao society: the Kadangyan, the Natumok, and the Nawatwat. So, ang Kadangyan, the Kadangyan were the elite class, owning extensive rice fields and organizing grand communal feasts to showcase their affluence. Ang Natumok naman, the Natumok were the middle class with sufficient rice reserved for a year but frequently burdened by debt to the Kadangyan, hindering their social ascent. Ang pangtulo, Nawatwat. The Nawatwat were the lowest class, typically without land or owning minimal plots, working as tenant farmers for the Kadangyan in return for part of the crops. So, yun. So, ito naman. What about gender? Gender inequality varies across cultures in societies like the Maori and North American. Roles are divided by gender, but no sex is seen as superior. Colonial Philippines valued women as leaders, healers, and spiritual with babaylans, embodying gender equality. However, Spanish colonization suppressed this, and the Philippines has yet to fully regain gender equalities globally. Globally, gender inequality often intersect with class and caste, deeply rooted in social structure. So, ang gender equalities varies across cultures. In societies like the Maori and Native Americans, gender roles are divided but no sex is seen as superior. In pre-colonial Philippines, women were respected as leaders, healers, and spiritual guides, embodying gender equality. However, Spanish colonization suppressed these practices, and the Philippines has yet to fully regain gender equality. Globally, gender inequality often intersect with class and caste, deeply rooted in social structure. Analyzing stratification. Why are societies stratified in the first place? As people call for equal treatment and the collapse of social hierarchy, it is indeed puzzling how stratification began and why it persists today. Social stratification, its rationally corresponding critics can be viewed through two lenses, the function perspective and conflict perspective. So, ang functionalist perspective, someone has to do the job. According to the functionalist perspective, in order for society to be stable and well-functioning, it must be composed of members fulfilling their respective roles. However, not all roles are equal, with some deemed to be of greater value than others. Furthermore, greater benefits, such as salary, need to be given to people with higher valued roles or jobs in order to motivate, complement, or qualified people in fulfilling them. Hence, this situation inherently generates inequality as the value or importance of social roles and occupations differ from one another. So, ang functionalist perspective, from the functionalist viewpoints, social stratification is seen as a necessary and natural part of society. Functionalists argue that in order for society to function smoothly, different roles must be filled by individuals who are best suited to perform them. These roles vary in terms of their importance and complexity, and thus they offer different levels of reward and status. This system of differential rewards is believed to motivate individuals to fill the most critical roles effectively. And the second one is the conflict perspective. It's the it's the resources and struggle for power. Conflict theorists differ in what they see as the source of stratification, while functionalists are inclined towards social roles. Conflict theorists instead point of scarce resources as the source of inequality. Since resources are limited, groups compete with one another to gain a larger portion of the resources. Ang conflict perspective naman, in contrast, the perspective views social stratification as a result of competition for limited resources. Conflict theorists, such as Karl Marx, argue that those who control the means of production, land, capital, technology, hold power and wealth, while those who do not control these resources are exploited. This perspective emphasizes the role of power and economic interest in creating and maintaining social hierarchies. You know.
Hi guys, dirita karon sa maintaining certification and social mobility. In every certified society, it is mostly the ruling class that benefits the most from the social hierarchy. The ruling class gets the larger portion of resources and acquires prestige, which also cements their power. This section deals with how the elite maintains the social hierarchy and the types of social mobility individuals can achieve. So, in a certified society, the elite or ruling class are the ones who benefit the most, such as gaining a larger share of resources and higher prestige. Their status and power are maintained through social structure they control. This section discusses how they preserve their position and the possibility for individuals to achieve changes in their social status. Data sa how the ruling class maintains the social hierarchy. So, controlling ideologies, and belief systems can either control or free people. When the Spaniards colonized the Philippines for 300 years, religion helped keep Filipinos under control and discourage them from fighting for independence. Later, during the American occupation, they introduced democracy and made democracy to make Filipinos believe they could govern themselves, but also use it to suppress rebellion, leading to the deaths of thousands of Filipinos. Next is controlling information. The powerful control information to stay in power. They've done things like blocking the media, arresting journalists, and hiding interesting facts. Today, they spread lies or fake news to confuse people, distract them, or create division. So, ug sa diri pa lang nga kuan, kini siya day Mike's kay parehas bitaw ang mura bitaw imo bitaw gitago ang identity sa katawo, murag imo gi-control ang information ba para di na to masabtan, diba tayo mabawaan ba para kuha na to ma-hide nya. Dili ta sa technology and social networks. Technology and social networks are used to control information and ideas. So diri sa information kay sa technology and social networks di kay mag-control siya information nya. This is siya mag-control siya ideas, not like diri sa control information nga information raya kanon nya. People like friends, coworkers, or group members can share real or fake information. Technology like surveillance is also used to collect information and sometimes spread limited or false details. Next is social mobility. So, social mobility refers to the ability to move from one social status to another, and it's possible systems like a class system. It can be classified in different ways. So, dito sa first, intra-generational mobility. A person change in social status. So, intra-generational mobility is a person that starts their career as like for example, a person starts their career as a sales associate in a retail store, earning a modest income. Over the years, through hard work, skill development, and networking, they receive promotions, eventually becoming a regional manager with a significantly higher salary and greater responsibilities. More bitaw mas ni naka sa imong mas better na version sa imong kaugalingon, not like pares kang sa una pero nag-start ganiya nga ayaw sa ka person nga nag-start siya sa siya career as a sales associate niya, pag abot og few years through hard work and skill development ni na siya na promote siya, eventually becoming a regional manager with a higher salary and greater responsibility. So dito sa intergenerational mobility, a change in social status between generations, such as children's status compared to their parents. So dito sa example niya, so for example, a taxi driver's child grows up in a modest income household. The child works hard in school, earns a scholarship, and eventually becomes a doctor or lawyer with a high income and social status. This is an example of intergenerational mobility because it shows how the child's social and economic status has improved compared to the parents, demonstrating upward mobility across generations. Next is horizontal mobility, a change in occupation or role at the same social level. So, if for example, nagkuan ka ay you are a working nurse in a hospital, nag-decide ka mag-teacher, while the workplace and job environment change, their job title, salary, and social status remain relatively the same. So, next nato is vertical mobility, movement up or down in social status. Like for example, a factory worker starts with an entry-level position. Over time, earns a promotion to factory manager, resulting in higher income and greater responsibilities. So, muna ato example niya, dito sa global stratification. So, stratification also occurs at the level of states known as global stratification. States are classified as industrializing, and least industrialized or developing states. So, dito sa tulo ka type sa global stratification. So, dito sa first, industrialized states are those with a high per capita income, large-scale industries and infrastructure, high standard of living, and high human development standards. Examples are United States, United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, and Japan. So, usa na sa dirang New York kay you know naman that New York is very expensive. So, kini kining mga ang industrialized states mo ni siya mga country nga advanced nya mura na nya industrializing states have relatively lower incomes, infrastructure. So ang kalay-aray nila sa industrialized o industrializing kaya kining industrialized mo na siya kato mga high standard, high capital sa nana mga rich. Yeah. Tiwas sa infrastructure have industrializing states have relatively lower incomes, infrastructure, and standards of living compared to industrialized states, but whose economies are growing higher rate than developing states. Examples are India, Malaysia, Mexico, or Brazil. Next is developing states have higher poverty incidences, few industries, and low standards of living. Examples are Cambodia, Afghanistan, Bangladesh, and Somalia. So, diri sa developing states, mao ni siya ang mga countries nga napa sila sa process of improving their social economy, social and political conditions, but still faces challenges such as lower capita income, limited industrialization, and lower standards of living compared to developed nations. Like press arang duha. Next, theories of global stratification. So first is modernization theory. The modernization theory emerged after World War II and during the Cold War. It suggests that modern industrialized societies are more productive, have lower poverty, and offer higher living standards. However, modernization is a gradual process. Countries need to adopt the institutions, practices, and cultures of advanced nations like the United States. Those that don't join this process may remain poor and underdeveloped. Next is the world systems theory. The world systems theory, developed by Emanuel Wallerstein in 1970s, explains how countries are connected to the global economy. It classifies countries into 4 groups. So, ano siya 4 groups day? So, first is core states. Wealthy industrialized nations like Britain and France. Next is semi-periphery states, countries dependent on trade with core states leading to stagnation. Next, periphery states, poor nations that supply raw materials to core states but are exploited and underdeveloped. And lastly, external area, countries mainly in Africa and parts of Asia excluded from the global capitalist system. And our last theory is dependency theory. This theory is developed by Latin American scholars in the 1950s, focuses on how developing countries depend on industrialized nations for their economic growth, This relationship hurts the periphery as they often rely on exporting raw materials instead of developing their own economies. For example, Chile became the main source of tin, and Central American countries exported cash crops, earning the label Banana Republics. And next is maintaining global hierarchy. At the global level, powerful countries maintain their dominance through strategies like neocolonialism, using trade markets to control resources from developing nations. They also rely on multinational corporations to import or export goods, hire cheap labor, and dominate markets. Additionally, industrialized nations use technological advancements to boost their industries, create products to sell at high prices, and increase their profits and power. So, powerful countries maintain their dominance globally through strategies like neocolonialism, where they use trade and markets to control resources from developing nations. They rely on multinational corporations to exploit cheap labor and dominate markets. And additionally, industrialized nations use technological advancements to produce high value products, boosting their profits and power while keeping developing countries economically dependent. This system creates an imbalance with wealthier nations benefiting at the expense of poorer ones. So, more na guys.